upbeat topic, not like regular, whatever we are seeing till now. It is a bit interesting because it is related to medical field. Okay, so occupational health is the next topic. So what is this occupational health? This SAP component supports general employee occupational health care in the company as well as planning and execution of special health surveillance protocol. Okay, now let me write few lines about this occupational health. So, occupational health is a component that supports general employee, occupational health care in the company as well as planning and executing planning and execution of special health surveillance protocols. Special health surveillance protocols. Now, earlier occupational health, it was not very famous. Not many companies were using. But if you see today, a lot of companies have started using occupational health. Because by using this component, we can track the health or the medical records of the employees. We can create medical checkups. You can create an appointment for the employees to go for the medical checkup. And you can maintain their medical records in the occupational health. If you are sending the employees for any vaccination, that vaccination data also you can maintain in the occupational health. So it is gaining a lot of ground because it has a very versatile application. You can use it for pre-employment medical checkup, post-employment medical checkup, as well as regular medical checkups. Because remember, as an employer, it is the responsibility of the employer to provide health and well-being of the employee. They have to take care of the health and well-being of the employee. And in order to achieve that goal, they will be using occupational health component. There are a lot of things you can do by using the occupational health component. One is you can maintain the medical records like I told you. You can create an appointment for employees to go for medical checkup. You can create vaccination plan for the employees. And not only that, whenever there is any injury in the company, you can report the injuries and illnesses to the organization. So like that, there are many good applications which are there in occupational health. And it is not only that, it has a lot of applications that may support the company in managing the health related activities of the employee. So because of these reasons, occupational health is really a very good component and it is extensively used in many companies. And this occupational health has been divided into basic data and master data concepts. We'll see some of the medical related terminologies we are going to study first, then we will go to the master data concepts. And coming to the integration part, occupational health is integrated mainly. Can you tell me with which module this has integration? In occupational health, what do you think? Which component or which module data is used? Hmm? When you want to create data in occupational health, which is the most important database from where you will access the data?
HR related.
Yeah, absolutely correct. We have to access the data from HR database because occupational health means what? It is the health of the employees. And when I tell employees, they are the people who are working in the company and their information is available with HR. Therefore, the number one integration in occupational health is between occupational health and HCM module. That is the most important integration. Now let's see some definitions like I told you, because we have basic data concepts and we have master data concepts in this. So first and foremost, we have to understand what is an exposure group. What is an exposure group? I will just write the definition and then I will try to explain. A group of persons, a group of persons who are exposed to the same agents and to the same exposure rating for these agents. Some background sound is coming. Akash. A group of persons who are exposed to the same agents and to the same exposure rating for these agents. From this sentence, what do you understand? This is a definition for exposure group. A group of persons or employees who are exposed to the same agents and to the same exposure rating for these agents. That is called as exposure group. But what exactly does it mean?
Means so the people or employees, those who has that or any
Who?
who exposed to that diseases.
Exposed to
They are
agents.
Agents means
working in
hazards or
same
disease.
field.
Yeah, agents means hazards. Yeah. A group of employees
continuously
continuously.
continuously exposing to the same kind of hazardous material
Hmm.
in the same place, same age group of people.
But employees can be of different age group, no? It's not about
Yeah,
age. Age can be anything.
yeah.
Age,
Employees can be in the same age group, but the employer will be the same in the same location.
yeah, in the same
Means,
location,
yeah,
wherever they are working, those employees will be at that place and they will be exposed to the same hazards.
same hazard
And to the
continuously.
same level. By the way, here exposure rating means to the same level. For example, let's say there are four people working in a very noisy environment, let's say in the DG room. They are DG technicians who are deployed at the DG room and they are working there. So now, whenever there is a DJ operating, there will be a lot of noise. And noise again is nothing but a agent, it is a hazard. So noise is going to affect all those four people equally. It's not going to affect one person less, one person more. Okay, it's not going to differentiate between each person. If all of them are at the same place, very close to each other, noise is going to affect everybody. No, it's not going to choose
Yeah,
depending on race, religion, color, nothing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Provided they are not wearing PPE, all of them are at the same condition, then it is going to affect everybody equally. That is why they are saying to the same exposure rating. Same exposure rating means everybody will be affected equally at the same level. And that kind of a group is called as a exposure group. One example I gave you, DG technicians working in the DG room, they are exposed to noise hazard equally. Similarly, a group of employees who are working, let's say, uh, what example can I give you? A group of painters, for example. When, let's say, five people are doing the painting work, it's a spray painting. And paint again is a chemical, right? It's going to harm the health of the people. And these five painters, if they are not wearing any PPE like mask or gloves or apron, if they are not wearing any of this, what will happen? That chemical or paint is going to enter into their body, and then it is going to affect their health. So in this case also I can say that a group of painters who are exposed to the chemical hazard, and if all of them are at the same place doing the same job, then everybody will be affected equally. Another very simple example. You see, in the steel industry or in the aluminum industry, there will be a blast furnace. Furnaces will be there where they melt the metal and then they will shape the metal into whatever shape they want. There will be huge furnaces, and the temperatures at those furnaces will be very high. It will exceed 40 degrees Celsius very easily. So let's assume there are 15 employees who are working near that furnace. And because of the heat that is getting generated, do you think everybody will be affected equally?
No, those who are working very closely with the
All are working
uh,
closely.
yeah, then it will be affecting if they are not taken any precautions.
Yeah. So by default, if all 15 of the employees working near the blast furnace are very close to the furnace in that same room, in that same area, then the temperature is going to affect everybody. No, see, human body cannot tolerate too high temperature, neither it can tolerate very less temperature. It should be optimum. And these people very close to the furnace are experiencing very high temperatures. So definitely it is going to affect everybody. It's not that one person will feel cold out of 15. Can that happen?
No, never.
No, because they are exposed to that same agent. The agent here is temperature.
Yeah.
So therefore everybody will be affected equally, and those group of employees are called as exposure group. They are called as exposure group. Same way, people who are working outside, like the construction workers, especially in summer, if you go to Middle East, it will be too hot, very hot, right? And they have to take lot of water and lot of nutritional, liquids, so that they have to cool down.
Dehydrating
Yeah,
agent.
to avoid dehydration, they have to take lot of liquids. And from a peak point, let's say from 12 p.m. onwards up to 3 or 4, they should not work, especially if the temperature is too high, they cannot work outside. So therefore, they will avoid working outside during the peak temperature hours. But let's say they will ignore that warning and they start working. Even if there are 100 people working, everybody will be very severely dehydrated because they are exposed to sun and they are exposed to high temperatures. They will be dehydrated and they cannot work under the sun for continuously for a long time. So even in that case, I can call them as a exposure group because they are exposed to sunlight and very high temperatures and they are getting dehydrated. So that is the exposure group. So here, whatever is the hazard, it is going to affect all the employees who are there in that vicinity, very close to each other, and that hazard will affect everybody irrespective of what is the age or what is the color. Without any exception, they are going to be affected. Take another very simple example, electricians. Some group of electricians working in the electrical room. Now, what happens if there is any electrocution? One person is getting electrocuted. Whoever is coming in contact with that person, everybody will get electrocuted. It's not that the current will decide, okay, I'm going to leave this person and I will choose some other person because I think this person is very good. Okay, he has a very good character, so I am not going to affect him. Current electricity does not decide like that. Whoever comes into contact, whether he is good or bad or no matter what other kind of nature he has, he will be affected. So all those electricians, if they come into contact with each other and if there is any electrical shock, everybody are going to experience it equally, that too, equally. So again, they are called as exposure group, right? That is a exposure group. Like that, you can give many examples, like even a group of welders who are doing welding activity, they will be exposed to dangerous fumes. That is also one example. Okay, this is the exposure group. Now let's try to understand what is a agent. Already you know what is a agent, but still SAP has given a definition for this agent. The specific or potential negative effect. The specific or potential negative effect of a physical, chemical, biological, or other nature on the health or well-being of persons. What is an agent? You directly know it is a hazard, but there is a proper definition also for agent. So what is the definition? The specific or potential negative effect of a physical, chemical, biological or other nature on the health or well-being of persons is called as an agent. Right? The specific or potential negative effect of a physical, chemical, biological or other nature on the health and well-being of persons or employees. Or in a very short way, we can say it is a hazard. And anything, by the way, they are saying not only these four things, not only physical, chemical or biological, it can be any nature. Anything that can affect your health negatively should be called as an agent. It can be anything, even fast food. Having too much of fast food also affects your health. And it is not good for your health. So therefore, eating too much of fast food is also not good. That is also agent. Okay, or maybe what other example can I give? Yeah, listening to music, loud music for a very long time. Though music is considered good, okay, it's like it's going to relax your mind. But just imagine if you are exposed to metallic sound, oh, that to very high level, high pitch music for a long hours. What do you think? Will it be helpful to you in any way? It's not. Again, because the music is too loud and you are exposed to metallic sound for a very long duration, it is going to affect your health, no doubt. So even in this case, it is nothing but it is going to affect your health negatively, and you should consider music also as an agent, especially under these conditions. So it can be anything, no particularly only physical, chemical or biological agents, it can be anything. Even if you are exercising too much, though exercise is good for you, if you are exercising too much, which is causing lot of strain on your body, that is also one kind of hazard. You are under a hazardous exposure. So all these things that are going to affect you negatively in any form are considered as agent. Okay guys, clear so far?
Clear, sir.
Yes,
That
sir,
is,
clear.
yeah, that is an agent. So some examples can be like noise, a virus, benzene. Benzene is a chemical, okay, or electricity, Okay, or it can be anything, even climate. Because too hot climate and too cold climate are also nothing but agents. Okay, so that is a agent, or in short, you can call it as a hazard. Now let's move on to the third term called medical test. So what is a medical test? A measured physical value that is one of a set of results. That is one of a set of results that is one of a set of results that go to make up an examination. That go to make up an examination. So a medical test is a measured physical value that is one of a set of results that go to make up an examination. What are they actually trying to say? Whenever you go to a doctor, let's say if you are suffering from fever or any other such illness, you go to a doctor. And what the doctor will do, he will start taking some measurements. For example, he may measure your blood pressure. Okay, he may measure your body temperature. Okay, or maybe he will even check your pulse rate. How much is the pulse currently? And several such kind of tests he is going to perform. But there are some tests where you don't get any measurement value. For example, if he checks your eyes, sometimes the doctors will, try to check your eyes. They will put a torch and they will check whether your pupil is dilated or whether it's normal. They will check. Or they will ask you to show your tongue and they will also check the color of the tongue. Because sometimes under feverish conditions, the color of the tongue will change. You know that? So they want to check that. And also they will try to check any other parameter physically. They just want to observe. So out of these all examples that I have given you, which is a medical test? Whether observing eyes is a medical test, whether checking the color of the tongue, whether that is a medical test, or whether taking the body temperature, is that a medical test? Measuring your blood pressure, is that a medical test? Which is a medical test out of all these examples?
Everything is a kind of medical test only, but measuring the blood test is more accurate, I think.
Yeah, you have to compare with the definition. Don't go by how you feel. You compare
Okay.
what definition is written and with the examples that I have given. So, what is a medical test? Which are the medical tests in the example I gave?
A blood test is a medical test because it will have results documentary.
Okay.
Rest others will not have any other documented part.
Yeah. See, wherever you are not getting uh, the measurement result, wherever you are not getting the measurable result, like for example, checking your eyes, the doctor will check, okay, that is an observation or examination, but is he getting any value out of that?
No.
No, he is
No,
not
sir.
getting.
No.
So therefore, it is not a medical test. Strictly go by what definition they are saying. A medical test is a test where a measured physical value will be getting in return. If you are not getting any physical value, then it's not a medical test. Very simple. Pulse rate has a measurement value. Your weight has a measurement value. Height has a measurement value. Body temperature has a value. All these are medical tests. But those where you are not able to, take a measurement value, those are not medical tests. They are maybe physical observations, but not a medical test. Okay, keep that in mind. So cholesterol level, checking the cholesterol level, that is also a medical test. Blood pressure is also a medical test. But other examples which I gave you, physical observation, they are not medical test. Okay, next let's move on to another term called as examination. Examination. It is very similar to your medical test, but there is some difference. Otherwise, we will not study this separately. A medical procedure, a medical procedure carried out in order to obtain, measurable results, in order to obtain measurable results for a medical diagnosis, such as an audiogram, or eye test. Okay, what is the examination now? Just compare examination with medical test. Is there any difference between the two? An examination is a medical procedure carried out in order to obtain measurable results for a medical diagnosis such as audiogram or eye test. Do you know what is audiogram? Anybody?
Okay. Means, the listening to identify the hearing capacity.
Yeah, the hearing capacity of a person will be checked or it will be examined under a observation. So what is the hearing capacity of human ear? How much we can hear in terms of frequency?
20,000 hertz, sir. Below 20,000 something.
Yeah,
Hertz.
human, you are very close. Human hearing is between 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Okay, this is the frequency range. We cannot hear below 20 hertz. Only some animals like dogs and other animals can hear below 20 hertz. And even we cannot hear more than 20 kilohertz. If there is a sound which has a frequency more than 20 kilohertz, we cannot hear. Okay? Because the frequency is very high, it is at such a high level that we cannot hear it. There is actually a dog whistle, okay, which if they blow, only dogs can hear that sound. We cannot hear. We will not hear anything at all. So there is a dog whistle which is used to control the dogs or to, call them. When they blow that whistle, the frequency is very high, more than 20 kilohertz, so we cannot hear it, but the animals can hear that. So we have a very limited range of human hearing. And even in that 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, depending on age, depending on how much you are exposed to noise, it will vary again. From person to person, even this range will vary. If the age is very advanced, those people can only hear, a little bit out of this range. Again, the range is very short. Or if any person is exposed to noise hazard continuously working in a company, that person also will have hearing defect. Even he cannot hear, from 20 hertz. Maybe he may hear 2 kilohertz or 5 kilohertz. From that range up to 15 kilohertz maybe. So the hearing will be affected depending on age, type of work they are doing, and in cities. See, we are living in cities. Here we are exposed, morning to evening to high noise levels, traffic especially. So if you go and check your hearing capability, I'm sure it will not be in this range. It will be somewhat different. So what they do is, in a company where the employees are exposed to high levels of noise, they are going to send those employees for audiogram test. In that audiogram test, what they will do is they will make the employee wear some headphones, and they will supply different frequencies. And for whichever frequency the employee is able to hear, then they will plot that frequency. First they will apply 100 hertz, 200 hertz, 500 hertz, 1 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz, like that. Slowly, gradually they will increase the frequency. And at whatever frequency point he is able to hear, they will mark that. And they will plot a graph. That graph is nothing but your audiogram test. So from that we can come to know how much this person is able to hear, how much his hearing has got deficient, and should we give him some other job. That will be decided on the audiogram test. Okay, and it is called as a examination, not a medical test. You may say, sir, why not? Because medical test, you told, we get a physical value. Then why audiogram is not considered as a medical test? Do you know? Here also we are getting value. We are plotting the graph. Then why not we can call that as a medical test? Or another example they have given, eye test. Why can't you consider eye test as a medical test? Why they are calling it as an examination? It's a very logical question. Why they are calling medical test for other type of tests like blood pressure and all, but at the same place we are also doing measurement in audiogram test, in eye test. Why they don't call that as medical test?
Hereby,
Specifically mentioning for a particular kind of test. Eye test or audiogram test means they are specifically meant for a specific type of test only.
And medical test?
Medical test, it's in general it is same for a blood checkup. All other things also will be coming in that.
Okay. Yeah,
But
fine.
eye test
Somewhat,
means
yeah, from your perspective, you are correct. Because medical test means anybody can go. A child can also go, an aged person can also go, ladies also can go, gentlemen also can go. Medical test is like common for everybody, it is like done generally. Whether he is an employee or not, whether he is a student, whatever he is, whatever his occupation, he can go for a medical test. Okay, but audiogram test specially is something reserved for employees, because employees who are exposed to noise level, they are more frequently sent for the audiogram test. Okay, that is one thing. Another point is, see what happens in an examination, they will carry out more than one medical test, or I can say that examination is a collection of medical tests. That is why they are calling it as a medical procedure. They are not calling it as a medical test, it is a procedure. Why? Because in each of these examples, they are going to do multiple tests. So if I send an employee for audiogram test, do you think they will only plot the graph and send him back? No. They will also physically check his ears. Okay? And they are going to do several other tests. Apart from taking the frequency, they will also do other tests. And what happens in eye test? Again, see, this is a good example. When you go for eye test, they will not do one test. They will perform several tests. Like first they will make you sit on a chair and they will make you read the letters. Okay? And if you are not able to recognize very small letters, they will put some lenses, and then again they will make you read. They will keep on changing the lenses until you are able to see those letters very clearly. and they will note down what is the power of the lens, at what power you are able to see. They will make a note. That is one test. After that, they will take you to another room where there will be a medical equipment, and they will monitor your eyes. They will take the measurement under the medical equipment. That is the second test. Next, again, they are going to put some drops in your eyes, and they will physically examine your eyes. So they will put a torch and they will examine your retina, cornea, and all. So for one eye test, just imagine how many different types of tests they are doing. By the way, let me tell you, that is not all. They will also do color blindness test. Just related to eyes, there are so many tests that they can perform. Color blindness test will be done. Okay, and vision, field of vision also they are going to take the measurement. And there are a lot of such tests. So if I say eye test, it is not one test that they are going to do. There are related many other tests that will be performed. That is why we call it as an examination. Because in examination, more than one medical test will be carried out. Not just one, but a set of medical tests will be carried out. But on the other hand, in a medical test, what happens? Just one test. If I say temperature, only temperature. That is one medical test. If they are measuring your blood pressure, that is one medical test. So individually, we are going to take the measurement values in a medical test. But in examination, what happens? Under one examination, a multiple number of medical tests will be carried out. Right? That is why we call it as an examination. In simple words, remember, examination is a collection of different medical tests. Examination is a collection of different medical tests. Because here we don't do one medical test, we are going to subject that person for multiple types of medical tests. That is why we call it as an examination. Okay, clear now? Any confusion?
Clear.
Clear. So examination is a collection of medical tests. It's not individual test, it's a collection of different medical tests. That is the examination. Next, let's move on to another very important definition called as protocol log. Health surveillance protocol, Health surveillance protocol. This is also coming under basic data, but very important one. So what is a health surveillance protocol? A set of medical examinations, and tests that a person has to undergo. A set of medical examinations and tests that a person must undergo, a person must undergo to enable possible health risks, to be recognized, treated, and if need be, prevented. So what do you understand by this health surveillance protocol? It is a set of medical examinations. Again, here different types of medical examinations will be done, and different types of medical tests will be done on a person. Okay, and that person has to undergo this particular medical checkup, so that it is going to be possible that we can identify the health risk, and if there is any health risk, we can start the treatment, and in many cases we can also do the prevention. Because see, there is a English saying, prevention is better than cure. If you can avoid any disease, that is far better than giving a treatment to that person. Because during the treatment he has to suffer, he has to spend money, There will be a lot of waste of time. So prevention is always better. That is the first option. So whenever a person goes for a medical checkup, by the way, health surveillance protocol means it is a medical checkup. Okay, health surveillance protocol in SAP terms means medical checkup. So every person has to go for a medical checkup. Why they have to go? Because we can identify or we can recognize what are the health issues they are facing. If you don't go for medical checkup, what will you come to know? From outside you may look healthy. From outside you may look very strong. But what is happening inside your body, how can you tell that? Whether you are having high BP or high cholesterol level, how can you tell that? By looking at a person, can we tell? He has to go for a proper medical checkup so that we can recognize any health risk like high cholesterol, high BP, or anything like that, any medical condition. So we can recognize health risk. If you can recognize health risk, next what will you do? Let's say, for example, if an employee is having high BP, he went for medical checkup, he got to know he has a high BP. What he will do next?
He will take precautions.
Yeah, he has to take medicine, no other option. If he is having high BP, he has to take medicine, no other option. So therefore, we can say that after you recognize the health risk, we have to start the treatment. Okay, so whenever the person goes for medical checkup and from that medical checkup he comes to know he is having BP or sugar, diabetes, whatever medical condition he is having, next he has to start the treatment. So that also is part of your health surveillance protocol. We have to go for medical checkup so that we can identify the health risk, so that we can start the treatment, and in most of the cases we can do the prevention. Like I told you before itself, even prevention can be done if you go for regular medical checkup. For example, see, lot of employees working with chemicals, they have a tendency over a long period of time, they may develop some cancerous tissues, they may get skin cancer because they are exposed continuously to the chemicals. Or those people who are working in nuclear power facilities and who are exposed to radiation for a very long time, even in the X-rays. X-ray is also not good. People who are continuously exposed to radiations, they may also develop cancer. So if you don't send those employees for regular medical checkup, how can we recognize that they are having cancer? At least if we come to know during the initial stage, we can give them treatment and they can recover completely. It is possible. But if they are not going for regular medical checkups, they are going every 2-3 years once or 4 year once, then directly they will go to stage 4. If it reaches stage 4, we cannot do anything. No treatment. So therefore, if a person goes regularly for a medical checkup, we can do a lot of prevention of diseases. One example I gave you, another example can be diabetes. If a person comes to know very early that he is at the borderline of diabetes, he can immediately take medicine and he will get recovery, complete recovery very soon. But if the sugar level reaches 380, 400 levels and it is increased, then what can he do? For the entire life, he has to take the medicine. No other option. So therefore, it is always better, not only for employees, I am saying for everybody, we have to go for regular medical checkup at least once in a year. So that we come to know what is the condition of our health. Where do we stand? Maybe your companies will not send you every year. Some companies will, high hazard industries like oil and gas, they send every 6 months, oil and gas. And also in the chemical industries, they will send very frequently. And in some manufacturing companies also, they will send every year. But apart from that, those of you who are working in offices, will they send every year? Even in construction line, they don't send every year. Only once, when you are joining a company, they will do the medical examination and that's it, over. But you have to go. Maybe you have to spend some money, maybe 1,000 rupees. But when you go for regular medical checkup, you will come to know what is your medical condition. Right? So instead of a person getting to know there is a medical issue after a long time, he has to spend lot of money to recover. He has to suffer for a long time, and his lot of time will be wasted. But if that same person, if he can recognize a medical condition very early, very less money he can spend, and he can completely recover very fast, and he does not have to suffer. What do you think? Which is better? Spending lakhs of rupees later on is better, or spending 1,000 rupees every year is better? Which is fine.
Spending 1,000 rupees every year.
But what we do here, especially in our country, or especially in Asia at least, we go for a medical checkup only when we are ill. When we are
Yeah.
serious, then we
The
go,
critical
okay, we have
stage
to.
only.
Exactly. But that is not correct actually. It's not good.
Yeah.
Because now the doctor will tell you go and do the medical checkup. That is why we go, because there is no other option. And after that also you have to spend so much money on medicines, on treatment, lakhs of rupees will be gone. But if you tell that same person go for a medical checkup before, he will say, why should I go? I am not feeling anything. I am absolutely fine. So why you are simply telling me to go for medical checkup? Like that they will argue. You have to go for medical checkups when you are healthy, so that you can prevent lot of diseases in future. That is why it is so important. And that is exactly what they are saying here in the definition also. A set of medical examinations and tests that a person must undergo, it's a must, to enable possible health risks to be recognized, treated, and if need be prevented. So the other word, this health surveillance protocol is a SAP word, SAP terminology. But if I want to give you a very simple alternative, I can call it as medical checkup. Okay, it is a medical checkup. So we are going to see what are the different health surveillance protocols we have in the SAP system. We'll see that, and you can also create a health surveillance protocol. All that is possible. Next, let's move on to examination type. Or before that, let me tell you, there are some status related to health surveillance protocol. Status of health surveillance protocol. There is a lot of theory, so please don't mind. This is quite theoretical, and even transaction codes are too many. Status of health surveillance protocol. See, there are three status for a health surveillance protocol. What are they? First one is called in process. First comes in process status. Second status is active, and third status is inactive. Every health surveillance protocol or every medical checkup will have either in process status, active status, or inactive status. So out of this, in process means what? In process status for a medical checkup means we are still planning that medical checkup. It is not yet available for the employees. Okay, they are still planning. They are still thinking what medical test has to be done for the employees. Okay, who are eligible to go for that medical test. Okay, how many days once they have to go, whether it's a one-time medical checkup or repetitive medical checkup, they are still planning. So whenever any medical checkup is still at the planning stage, the status of that medical checkup will be in process. Okay, it is not yet available to employees, still they are planning. Next is active. What is an active health surveillance protocol?
Data will be available.
Yeah, that medical checkup is available to the employees. Like suppose you want to go for general medical checkup, you can go at any time, no problem. Because it is already available to the employees. Or somebody want to go for blood test, fine, they can go for a blood test. They want to go for a audiogram test, even that is available to the employees, they can go. So these medical checkups or these health surveillance protocols which are already available to the employees are having status active. But there is one more called inactive. Inactive status of health surveillance protocol. So what about this inactive? It was available once upon a time. That medical checkup was available to the employees once upon a time, but now it is no longer available. It was available to the employees some time back, but now that medical checkup is no longer available. Can you give one example for this? Some medical checkup was available, it was mandatory for all of us some time back, but now they are not doing that test. Do you know what that is? Just try to recall.
Carcinogenic test. Carcinogenic.
Corona testing.
Corona test. Okay. Carcinogenic test, I don't know. Even now they do carcinogenic test. But corona test or RT-PCR test, are they doing now? Is it available?
No.
No. Earlier it was mandatory for everybody. Now corona is gone and no need to do RT-PCR test. So what happened to that status of that RT-PCR test?
It's inactive now.
Yeah, it is inactive. It is no longer available, so it is inactive. So like that, any medical checkup, depending on currently whether it is available or not available, whether they are planning, depending on that, it will have different status. Right? So that is the three statuses we have for health surveillance protocol. Now let's move on to the next concept called examination type. So what is an exam? I told you what is the examination here. Now this is examination types. How many types of examinations are there? There are actually three types of examination types. But before that, let me write one line. What is the examination type? The categorization of health surveillance protocols. The categorization of health surveillance protocols using the time periods stipulated. The categorization of health surveillance protocols using the time period stipulated for performing or repeating these protocols Yeah, so medical checkups, depending on how many days once you have to repeat or whether it has to be done one time or multiple times, there are different examination types. For example, we have initial examination, periodic examination, and past exposure examination. Initial examination, periodic examination, and past exposure examination. These are the three types. Where initial examination means whenever you are going for any medical checkup for the first time, we call it as initial examination. Like for example, you started going for any medical checkup, some years ago, and you go every year. So when you went for the first time, it is called as an initial examination. Periodic examination means when you go repeatedly every year, every 6 months once, or every 2 years. When you are repeating that same medical checkup after a period of time, we call it as a periodic examination. Like general medical checkup, every year we have to go, that is a periodic examination. And also we have past exposure examination. Here they are going to examine whether the person got any medical issue while working for another company. They will look at the past exposure when he was working for another organization. That is called as past exposure examination. Okay, these are the three examination types we have, and depending on how many times you are going, it is dependent on the time. Depending on the time, these are the three examination types. Okay, and I think now the call will get disconnected. We'll connect after 10 minutes. And there are few other basic concepts we have to know, like diagnosis, health center and all. And then we'll see the master data concepts. It's a very lengthy theoretical concept, so please bear with me. We have to next see few other things like diagnosis, health center and all, and then we'll take up the master data.
Okay.
Okay, so just take a break. We'll connect back at 7:15.